I have never in my life, 42 years, what in the Sam? That is crazy.
Oh my God. Holy crap, dude. Oh my God.
Goddamn tornado.
Whoa. Is this coming? Look at all that debris. Oh my God.
Cain and Abel wasn't brothers. White people come from the mountains. But not the mountains everybody think. Now you laugh, it ain't funny. They come from the mountains for real, gang. They were made by the Shaitan.
What's Shaitan?
By the fallen angels. And Antarctica. And the ice wall. And they made Cain first. And when they made Cain, they taught Cain how to fight and how to kill. And Cain was white, he was pale. They told Cain to go find and go kill Abel. And they wasn't brothers. Abel was from the light. He was good. So he didn't have weapons and shit. And Cain went over there and killed him. And ever since then, they've been winning the war. See, Abel was made by the Anunnakis. The Anunnakis, they was black and they were spiritual beings. Race war is really a spiritual war, and a lot of people don't know. And in Chinese, they reptilians. That's what you think I'm playing, gang. They reptilians, gang. That's what I'm mama. The world is kind of like going through a spiritual war, and everybody think it's like racism.
Mud-flooded buildings and the Great Reset. If you still don't know what that is, let me show you. Now this is a mud flood building. You have to understand, this building was found, excavated, and dug out. That's the reason why some of these windows have been bricked out or turned into air vents. And if you notice, the windows are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That's just where somebody hasn't dug out deep enough. This is a mud flood building.
Oh, I got your ass now. Take a look at those. What are those? You've probably seen this before, but you ain't never really put it together or know what it was. It looks decorative, ceremonial, right? We about to break this down because they put it right in front of us and they trying to bullshit us. Now what you're gonna notice is this thing called a fasces. Fasces. I am giving you new eyes. After today, you will not be able to unsee the fasces. You will see it everywhere. Why? Because it is everywhere. Look here. Mercury. Why would you have mercury on one side of this coin? We know what mercury is used for. Anytime you see mercury, tap that into free energy. Over here on the other side, what do they have? They have a fasces. What is a fasces? We're in class. Let's go. A fasces was a bundle of rods held together with bindings. Outside the sacred boundary of Rome, these bundles could also include an axe, whose blade or blades projected out from the rods. The Latin word fasces actually means bundle, and they were carried by lictors, which may have come from the car, to bind. The rods were to signify the official's power to enforce corporal punishment, and the axe was to signify the official's power to order capital punishment. With that said, the fasces tended to be an unwieldy cylinder that lictors would often rest on their shoulders, with the possible exception of a lictor using it to shove somebody out the way. It would have been pretty useless in combat, okay? They're saying it's useless in combat, but they're saying the lictors would be carrying this around as like a symbol to be like, oh, he's carrying a fasces? That must mean this motherfucker right here can cut my head off. So they're trying to explain to us that this fasces was just a symbol of power. Like, we just carry this around to let people know we run shit and we'll chop your head off. That's bullshit. The fasces did not really function as weapons. The stone axe heads were even removed when within the ceremonial borders of Rome. So, you know, they'd have an axe head, they'd be carrying them around, and then once they get within the borders of Rome, they go, oh, take the axe heads off now. Yeah, we're within the borders. Okay. Look, but were rather symbols of power and authority. If a magistrate was attacked, he would simply have to trust that all of his aides, clients, personal attendants, and possibly hired gladiators or armed slaves could overpower the mob. So, he would have these lictors that are supposed to be his guards carrying these fasces, which are supposed to tell people he has the authority to inflict capital punishment, right? Is this making any sense? But if he's attacked, he has to trust that his aides, clients, and other people, attendants around are gonna overpower the mob for him. This is gonna get ridiculous, but I'm gonna put it together. Fasces were primarily used as symbols of judicial power. Lictors following important Roman officials while carrying fasces. However, these lictors technically were also bodyguards. Given that they were near constantly carrying fasces, it makes sense that they would have used it for defense. However, it seems to me that it'd be too unwieldy to use in actual combat. So do we have any... Exactly. You see what the problem is here? They're trying to tell you that, one, these are being carried by lictors for a magistrate, and these are supposed to be his bodyguards. But these fasces are not used as weapons. Also, I mean, I just read it and you just did. It looks like this is a ceremony. It looks like they're within the borders of Rome. The axe is still on there. Look, the axe. I thought when y'all was within the borders of Rome, y'all took the axe off. I guess y'all just forgot about that rule for today. Bundle, wrapped rod, axe piece coming out. Look at this guy. Does he look like he's a lictor? Let me show you something else. They were carried by lictors who acted as bodyguards and symbolized the... Why is a bodyguard, right? You're supposed to be a bodyguard. You're carrying something that's not a weapon. You can't even protect the magistrate with it. Does that make any sense? Unless they're hiding its actual function. These two Jews just chilling, holding their fasces. There's another one right there. That looks like that's on like a sewer hole or something. Something important. Remember what it symbolizes. That's on the quarter. You will never forget that for the rest of your life. Right there. See it? The eagle. This, which is a symbol of the United States, is holding on to a fasces, which is a symbol of the Roman Empire, which tells you I'm a high-ranking official and I can induce capital punishment. You gotta put the rest of that together. Look here. And I mean, we talking ancient, okay? Brutus, BC. Look at them carrying, look, you see the axe on it? They're carrying fasces. Look, between two lictors. And I found this very, very interesting, right? Because if you look right here and go across, it says a general. If you're a general, a military general, go across, you get 6 lictors. 6 lictors. If you're part of the High Council, you get 12 lictors. So if you're a general, you get 6 lictors, and those lictors will be carrying fasces, right? So what I did was I went back to the movies, because, you know, they have to try and get this Rome thing in your head. You know, just like construction photos, they have to try and instill Rome in your head. So they made all these movies. So I go look back. I went to go back to watch Maximus and all these things where, quote unquote, Caesar and all these. He's part of the High Council. Maximus was a general. He should have been followed by 6 lictors carrying fasces. Nowhere in the movie was there any lictors, and nobody was carrying any fasces. But as you can see, this is the ranking. This is how many lictors you're supposed to get. Council, 12. Pro-council, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's carrying one. There it is again. He's got one right there. This person carrying one right here. Look in this seam right here, right in the background. Boom. This guy's carrying one. He don't look like a lictor. He looks pretty important. This person's got one. Take a look at that. George has got one. This giant is holding one. I mean, for God's sake, these things are everywhere. You just never looked. Yeah, go ahead, look on the back of your dime. There's one right there. Now for the cool part. I think they're lying, and it's an energy device. It's a free energy device, and it is a weapon. But just like the Vajra, they're not going to tell us that. Look at this device here. What does that look like to you? Well, what do we have here? Wrapped around, the rods, the binding, the axe sticking out. Yeah, that looks like a device. And if you turn that device to the side, and you look at it this way, it's wrapped, it's bound, it's got the rods, and then that right there would be the axe that sticks out. That Fasces is a free energy device, almost just like the galvanic battery. And they put it right in our face. Even Lincoln has 2 of them. What if Mercury goes inside of the Fasces and activates it? Because I'm not buying them telling me that this right here, and this right here isn't this right here. But when the mind's blind,